Alright, so I did my project on the Irish immigrating to the United States. So some background information you need to know is that the British were extremely controlling of Ireland and its people. Also, a disease hit their potato crop, which was their primary farming source which they were excessively reliant upon. Due to this, the citizens began to starve and die in the streets. In an attempt to save themselves and their families, they fled to the United States, which is also known as the Land of Plenty. The Irish began to prosper in the United States under their hard-fought battles for political power and resistance towards discriminatory behavior and their actions toward their religion. With the Irish coming to the United States, due to them being extremely impoverished and unable to buy land out west to farm crops, buy livestock, or equipment, they stuck to the seaports they landed on, namely Boston and New York, as they were the most populous Irish cities in the United States. As for jobs, women primarily took up jobs as kitchen maids, while the men worked on canals and railroads, which led to many deaths and casualties. "No Irish need apply" was a common saying placed on signs and storefronts in these larger cities that discriminated against the Irish for taking their jobs from them. The Irish Americans also lived poorly by being crammed in slums that were extraordinarily filthy. Unfortunately, they were also picked on, the most notably by Protestants, who despised them for being Catholic. The graph on the right shows the peaks of Irish immigration to the United States were around 1860, and 1860 being the highest year with over 200,000 Irish immigrating to the United States. Eventually, the Irish got their footing and began to dig out their own impact on the United States. Due to their large number in big cities, the Irish soon found their footing and became a robust political force. They most notably gained control of New York's Tammany Hall, where they dominated for decades. They also still carried a hateful bias towards Britain, and used this hatred to get more votes for office from the angry Irishmen. Many acted corrupt with their new powers by putting many of their own in office. With such a large population, many other American politicians leaned towards getting the Irish vote. By 1860, the Irish American population was around 2 million. The cartoon on the left shows an Irishman acting out of line with the rest of the people who were native-born Americans, which implies that the Irish living in the United States at the time were seen to be people who didn't mix in with the rest of the crowd. With political success came religious success. By 1850, Catholicism became the #1 most popular religion in the United States. The Catholic also implemented new Catholic school system to separate their Catholic children from the Protestant ways of learning. Also, many years later, John F. Kennedy, who was born in Brooklyn, Massachusetts, had all 4 of his grandparents be Irish immigrants and was most notably a Catholic, becoming our first Catholic president. St. Patrick's Day is also now publicly celebrated in the United States, which celebrates St. Patrick, an Irish saint, and Irish Americans as a whole. In the cartoon on the right, we can see an Irish American and German American running away with the ballot box, which represents many of the Americans' feelings towards immigrants in this era, which will be gone into more detail on the next slide. During this era of immigration to the United States, the Know Nothing Party was formed. One of their primary goals was to stop and/or slow down immigration levels of the United States out of fear that the Catholic Church would rise at the cost of the Protestant Church. Violence and hatred towards the Catholics and their church also arose. Mobs caused violence and burned Catholic buildings out of the intolerance towards Catholics and their practices. These usually happened in larger cities and occurred infrequently. The cartoon on the left shows a stereotypical Irish American at the time who acts rowdy while screaming at everything they don't like should be changed, and that everything should be how they want it. And that is the end of my project. I hope you enjoyed.